6:01, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Everyone's present. Dr. Brazel's on by phone. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, please.
Attention.
I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's bow our heads. Dear God, I just want to thank you for today and just thank you for our district. Dear God, just be with us tonight. Just help us to make wise decisions for our students and for our staff and for our community. And dear God, we just thank you for all that you've done and blessed our school district with. And God, we just love you. Just thank you for everything you've given us. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Need, approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous? All right, adoption of the agenda. I need to add an item, concerning the, classroom additions at the middle school. Let's put that under employee petitions. That's a good spot. All right, can I get a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? All right, old business, the next board meeting will be Tuesday, September 9th at 6 o'clock. Tuesday, September the 9th at 6. Moving on to new business, item A would be 16 section lands.
All right, got just a few things on the 16th section status report tonight. That the first item, 209, the delinquent leases, we haven't received any updates, like any payments. As far as of today, the taxes have all not been paid. So I am talking with our board attorneys about this, and what they're recommending is that we send new updated letters. They've all received 60-day letters, but we can send a updated letter with updated amounts, because we've received a payment here or there, but just not everything in full, if it's, taxes or the rent that they owe. So we can possibly do like a smaller window. But anyways, I'm working on that with our attorneys, and then if we can do the letters, then it'll be up to the board at that point, whenever that window closes, if you want to terminate the leases. So that's what I've got so far on that.
What's the policy on terminating leases? These seem like they've been up for a while.
They have, we have to give them the 60 days. They've had the 60 days, which one of them is still in his first 60-day window. But the problem is when they come in and make partial payments, it complicates the problem. But you don't want to turn down money. So that was the suggestion, I believe, was to just make the window smaller, send out new letters, and then if nothing has been paid in full at that point, then the board can decide then if you want to terminate the lease.
So can we specify paid in full by this deadline?
Yes, and the last time, the recent conversation I had with one leasee is, I did tell him, you're gonna have to pay everything in full, the taxes and the rent,
I just wonder if that was stated in the letter, if it was
It
stated.
is.
Okay.
It's hard to turn down money, I know.
Yeah, I get it.
So, but lesson learned, so. So there's nothing for approval on that tonight. On item 250, I do have, it's an extension to an addendum to a contract that we had back in 2023 for timber sales with Harrison Logging. Apparently the logger was delayed because the road needed resurfacing. Well, they've finished that, so they want to extend the contract so that they can finish out the work. So I just need your approval to extend that, and I think it goes out to July 18th, 2026.
Okay.
All right, and then
Need Need a motion to
I make-
approve that extension?
I make a motion of extension on item 250.
Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any
All right.
discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Okay, the last item on the 16th section status report is 268. I've just got, it's a residential lease. They want to, assign it to another leasee. The one that's currently leasing that is moving, so I'm asking y'all to approve of this lease reassignment.
Need a motion to approve the lease reassignment?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, thank you. Item B would be personnel.
To be in compliance with Mississippi Code 379-21, if you're related to any of the following personnel to be considered and voted upon, please recuse yourself from the school board meeting till a motion and vote is made. I'd like to make the following faculty recommendations for the 25-26 school year, and if you refer to personnel 1 on your laptops, then you can see the recommendations, the people who are resigning, and the transferring into what position that they are, the position location that is coming up.
On these ones that are transferring, I see we're going from full-time SSOs to part-time SSOs. These. So are we eliminating SSO? What does that mean? I see a position to position location. I'm sorry, my eyes are blurry. To position location, but part-time SSO. So what is the position location, or where are these? I see it, they're going from full-time to part-time. So are we cutting them? Are we losing those positions?
For me,
Yeah, I'll just.
Or
Okay.
anybody that can answer it, I'm not
yeah,
sure.
it's gone from full-time to a part-time position. And so, so it's approximately a 40-hour work week to less than 20 hours or 20 hours. It's just going from full-time to part-time in whatever location that they need to be in. And our person that's in charge of the SSOs is taking care of that, put them in the right locations.
So we're losing these spots, so I would take it that these are the security officers that we were talking about on last month, being in the schools. So we go from not having enough to cutting them down to even fewer. Was that my understanding?
No,
So,
I don't know what your understanding is, but what we're doing is we're going from these full-time people to part-time, which means that, that they're gonna be working about approximately half the number of hours that they were working prior to this.
Right. So just for clarity, on last month, we were talking about not having enough security officers to cover, programs, activities, schools. So I guess my question is, how do we go from not having enough full-time security officers to cutting the ones that we already have? Like, how does that, I guess I'm not understanding, I guess I just want some clarity.
It's probably just the time, and not the amount of people, but the time. Like we were talking, I think what you're talking about was the out of town events and moving people that might leave early, during the day for trips or something.
Right. And
that's-
because we didn't have enough to cover activities, or we didn't have enough to cover spots, so so like for an example, the first person up there, I'm not sure who it is, or the second person, third person, it doesn't matter. So they go from being in the school, let's say the elementary school, all day, 40-hour week, to only being in there for half the week. So would that spot not be covered with SSO?
I'm gonna say that's up to the, director of the, but I'm gonna assume they just swap people in and out as needed.
But I said we'll still be covered, so it's just, it's full-time, but they cut them to part-time, so we'll still have people in the schools.
We do.
I said to cover.
We do have people that are in position, but they have adjusted the number of people that are in locations. For instance, I believe that we had 2 people that were serving at the 9th grade building, okay? Now we have 1, which means that they had to shift people around in order to make it all work. The budget was approximately $160,000 over budget for that department within the last year. And so we are trying to make sure that we're doing a good job of security, but at the same time, then we're trying to get the budget in check.
I have a question about that. David, you said that we were $160,000 over budget from last year. Right? Is that what you said?
160,000 in that particular budget.
Right,
Of
security.
what we were gonna spend in security. We were $160,000 over what the guesstimate was that was gonna be spent in security. And so we're trying to get that in check, because if not, then we need to increase taxes even more in order to accommodate this. Now, we do feel like our schools are safe, and we feel like we have enough security to do the job, and Mr. Cobb has masterfully been placing people in the right locations in order to make sure that we have exactly what we need to do the job.
Miss, what's your name? I'm so sorry.
Crouch.
Miss Crouch. I know you're new to, your position. And just for clarity, I just need some clarity before this vote. I know we've had discussions about the security officers. We didn't have those, the same ones. They came from a different company, and we just grafted them into the school district. And I know that the conversation was that we were gonna be paying $12.45 or something along those lines for those officers, and we're only paying $9 for those officers. With, the adjustments, I know about 6% for insurance and all those.
Yeah, benefits is included in the number that was.
That we had,
Right,
so.
by the time you take the 9 and the benefits, it came out, so I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I don't want to misspeak,
Right.
but just to clarify what Dr. Dagnon is saying, compared to when we were paying a vendor to provide the security, we took an analysis of all of what we paid for them, of what it would cost, and if you look at our numbers from last year, and I don't have that in
Yeah, sure.
front of me, but it is substantially over
Yeah, sure.
than what we,
Right.
anticipated.
Right, of course. And respectfully, Ms. Crouch, last year, Mr. President, if you recall, I said, so we're gonna be paying more, right? That was a conversation. I said, we're gonna be paying more for security. And everybody agreed that we would be paying more for security. So how do we get to a point now that we say we're over budget when we already went into the agreement saying that we were gonna be paying more? So I guess I'm not understanding how we're back and forth. First, we're hiring people. I'm asking a question to the board. So that means we're gonna be paying more than what we're paying a consultant coming, a third party. Because I said, why won't we just bid it back out to a third party? And you all made we made the decision as a board that we were gonna take these people on, we were gonna pay them more. And now, a year later, we're saying, hold on, wait, we can't pay them more, we need to cut some of them so we can be right back in budget. Now, what budget are we talking about?
Now, if I remember, I think we budgeted more for that increase, but I think by the time the end of the year rolled around, probably with overtime and working of special events and things like that, it probably just got out of hand.
So we're not managing correctly then, right? So
So
if we set up.
based on our initial budget of what we just made an assumption that it would cost in-house, and it just,
And I think that's the
We missed
issue,
it.
Mr. President, I think that's the issue that we've been doing. We've just been making these guesstimates. We kind of just shoot in the dark and we assume, and then once we get involved in these contracts, then we say, hold on, we made a mistake, when we're not doing our job. We don't have enough fidelity in our numbers to say, hey, look, this is what it's gonna cost, this is where we're gonna stay. We're just kind of throwing a blanket over there, and we're voting on it, and then we're having to come back and come back and come back and say, okay, now we're over budget, and David is putting out that we may have to raise taxes in order to keep 5 people.
now, I will say, since I've been on the board, this is the first time I remember where something got out of line on what we had budgeted a year earlier. Like I said, your budget's the best guess. You're trying to, project the year out, and like I said, I could see where if you know it's off and we're spent more than we thought we would, then we need to go ahead and try to bring things back to where we were expecting them, so. I mean, I'm glad they recognized that it was that much over, even if it was after the full year.
So even after, Ms. Crouch, so even after we paid whatever we were paying for safe security and we budgeted more, now we're 150 or 160,000 over the amount that we budgeted over for safe security? Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't have the numbers, but yes, it's a large amount. It's around that amount, yes.
Wow,
From
so
what I remember.
1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 security officers that we're paying $9 an hour to, we've over budgeted $160,000 in 1 year, above what we were what safe security was paying them, and the overage that we put in when we said we were going to be paying them more.
But, we're making an assumption that just these 4 individuals going to part-time is gonna adjust the whole budget. It may even be hours for other, overtime hours and things like that.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're saying.
All right.
But, and Mr. President, and I'm so sorry to harp on it, but last month when we had this conversation, we didn't have enough people to cover it because we have the activity. So how is it now that we don't, last month we didn't have enough people, this month we're over budget and we're gonna cut people? So that means we're going in reverse of what it was last month. So we're gonna even be less secure than what we were last time we had this conversation. It would seem that we would be making adjustments to do something more for the security. I guess I'm not, I mean, and that, I don't know how to paint a picture any better than that. I just didn't understand, this move when we're already having concerns as a board for the safety of our kids, and now we're taking people away. When a year ago, we already made that statement that we understood it was gonna be more. But I guess that's it. I guess that's the
Can I-
full of it. So Ms. Crouch, how much is this gonna cut us down? Cutting these 4 people from full-time to part-time, how much is this gonna cut the budget?
Without knowing how many hours they've worked, how much overtime there is, it's hard to answer that.
So we're cutting people. How did we get 4 people? How many security officers do we have in the school district?
I can't remember I think we looked at it. I don't know off the top of my head how many there are.
Guess.
It's over 20-something.
So it's over 20.
I think. I don't recall that.
You don't
I'll have to go look.
Okay, sure. And I know that's kind of off the top. But how did we end up deciding we're gonna cut 4 people? If we don't have an understanding of what these 4 people are gonna save us, how do we get that number?
That decision is made within that department. Benji Brett is the chief of police. Joe Cobb is in charge of the people that fall into the category of the SROs.
Sure, but it comes up to your desk, right, David? You have the final say on that?
I have the final say on just about everything that goes on in the district.
Right, sure. As a
I do.
superintendent, right?
That's right.
So-
That's my job.
So do you you know a justification as to why we're cutting 4 instead of 6 and what those numbers are? So we-
Yes.
you get, okay. You mind if you-
Because Mr. Cobb presented the list of what he felt like was appropriate in order for our schools to be safe, in order for us to be able to try to get closer in budget. This is not with 4, it is not in budget with 4.
Right, it's not in budget with 4, so with us cutting 4, what's the rationale? How much money are we gonna save by cutting 4? So as opposed to saying, hey, David, we're gonna cut 8 security officers to part-time, and we're gonna save this amount. So each of these security officers should represent a number amount to say, this is what we're gonna save by cutting them this amount. Like, because why not 10? Why not 5? Why this number? And how much are we gonna save? Or is it even worth even cutting them part-time if we're only gonna save 30,000? Because obviously you don't know or hadn't done your homework to know how much money we're gonna save by cutting these people.
Obviously, you can't do the math to multiply 9 times 20. If you could do that and then multiply that by 4, then you'll have a number as to the approximation of how much money this is gonna save by reducing these people by approximately 20 hours. Now, I rely on the people who work within the school district in order to do their jobs. And we have a very competent person who is working in this area, and that is Joe Cobb. Joe Cobb has come up with a list, and he said, this is what I think we need to do in order to try to get everything within budget. We're working very hard to do that. We've done some pay raises this year in the school district, and within the school district, in order for it to be solvent at the end of the year, then you gotta do your best to try to get all of the different categories in place, and you gotta have the finances in check in order to do a good job of balancing the budget. But Mr. Cobb is the person that presented the list, I believe, to our personnel department, and they hand that list off to me after the decisions are made.
Sure, thank you for that. And since you walked me through how to do it, again, I was right there on it, so we only saved about $34,000. So we cut 4 people for $34,560. And that was simple math, like David alluded to. So 4 people, 20 hours, 4 people, 20 hours a week, or, it's 4 people, 20 hours a week. Multiply times 4 times 12. So we're about $34,000 a year that we're saving.
Did you have the benefit package in?
What is
benefit-
that, 0.6?
well,
What about times 0.6, Ms. Crouch?
No, because if they're
About
working,
6%
if they're
increase.
working less than 20 hours, then it ends up being approximately 17% in benefit package.
So what does that end up being?
You're asking, I'm sorry, I'm trying to see your. Around 2605 is the percentage. You've got retirement in there. If they're working 20 hours at least, which is 18.4, Social Security, Medicare, 7.65, and you have to include workers' comp.
So what does that bottom line number end up being?
You ask, so you're saying almost 34,000?
No, forget, erase the 34,000, just the 20 hours a week, and the 4 people.
Roughly 1,000 a person?
So 48,000, so,
For a week.
yeah, so $48,000 $4,000 a week, 4 weeks? 4 people, $4,000, 16. 16, 12. So about 192? Is that 192?
But like I said, I know that this probably, like you said, that's not taking care of the whole over budget of say let's say 150,000, but it's probably additional things involved like cutting overtime, trying to be more efficient with what we have. Because overtime probably really kills you on your budget quickly. And you got that many people in that department working, you know, ball games and special events, and all of a sudden your overtime probably gets out of hand pretty quick. So, all right, well, can I get a motion to approve personnel 1?
So moved.
All in favor? All right, 4 ayes and 1 abstention. All right. Excuse me. No more personnel, so, item C is policy, review A, E, and F policies, which we voted on last time, August 12th. We just have to do a follow-up second vote. Anybody want to present that again? No? I didn't know if somebody, I mean, we covered it last time.
Yeah, we covered it, and we just need to have
Second.
review those policies and no revisions, so we need a motion and a vote.
I make a motion.
We got a motion for our second vote on policy review. Can I get a second?
Second.
Kevin, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
One question, Kelly, is this the second vote on these 3 policies?
No, this is
This is.
with no revisions.
Yeah, so it was,
We're just
so it was a
reviewing
review of those
A, E,
policies,
and F.
not a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, review of those policies.
On
not a
one
second.
time. I read that, it actually says
Yeah.
voted on one time, so I thought it meant
Right, right.
previously voted on.
There you go.
Sorry.
You got it.
Okay, well. I quit coughing for a second. Let me rephrase that. Can we get a vote on the following policies with no amendments? A, E, F policies. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
Kevin, can I get a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Unanimous. Sorry about that, fellas. Hmm? No, I got some coffee, just saying. All right, approval IDEA procedures.
Okay, the Grenada School District is required to have IDEA fiscal procedures in place to implement our IDEA fiscal policies pertaining to our federal funds. So I'm requesting that you all approve the IDEA fiscal procedures.
Okay. A motion to approve the IDEA fiscal procedures.
I make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Ms. Conley, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? All right. Second.
And then, in addition to the IDEA fiscal procedures, we also have to have programmatic procedures. And these are to implement the IDEA policies on the provision of special education and related services. And I request that you approve these IDEA programmatic procedures.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you all.
All right, item D, employee petition for out-of-county students.
Please approve the list, the 25-26 employee petitions filed to county students that have been presented thus far during registration. You see about seven students that fit into this category. and we ask you to please approve this list. We need a motion and a vote.
Can I get a motion to approve out of county?
I'll make a motion to approve out of county.
Kevin, can I get a second? Ms. Conley?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? All right, the item I added, which is the middle school, renovation discussion.
We have with us our architect who's gonna help us to understand the renovations for the middle school and some of one of the problems that we have run into in regard to getting ready to put the building on the ground. And so this is something that he has been working on diligently, and he's done very good work, so.
I'm Robert Zander, RJZ Architecture. To give you basic, what's happened is we have discovered an elevated water table at the building site. Back in 2024, we did soil borings on the property to establish this. We did about a dozen and a half. Out of those dozen and a half that were done, dozen were dry. A couple of them had water found at 8 to 10 feet down, and a few others found it at 3 to 5 feet down. Engineers had no issue with that at all. Fast forward to May 2025, and we've got water at that table at 3 feet across that entire building area. And we got out there, we started digging some holes, put in storm drainage, and found all this water that had elevated over the past year. We dug some holes, put in some pumps, thought maybe we could alleviate that water table, and wasn't able to do it. We then brought a soil engineer back in, and we dug more test holes all over the property. What he's determined that we need to do, and if you flip to tab 2 in your folder there, and I'm sorry didn't get this digitally done, we just put this together this morning. The soil engineer is recommending that we dig out 5 feet of earth from the existing grade, and then we'll be installing a French drain system all the way around the building. They'll install that French drain around the perimeter. They will come in and put down a layer of geotech fabric, 2 feet of sand, another layer of geotech fabric, 3 feet of earth, and that gets us back to the existing grade out there. Then, of course, there'll be another 3 feet or so fill on top of that to get us to the building elevation so the finished floors match up between the building and the addition. Tab 3 will show you the engineer's drawings that they did for this to make these changes to it. You see the red line around the building, that's the storm drain, and then a new pipe going out to the ditch over at Jackson Avenue. Structural engineer also had to do a few adjustments in terms of his footings that tie next to the existing building in order to deal with that water situation and the depth of the footings versus the over excavation. On a hap chance, because we had good dry weather end of June and in July, I went back out in July and dug more holes. Water had receded a little bit, but we were still above 4 feet. So that's when we went ahead and got this proposal done up, sent it to the general contractor to get it priced out. We received approval from the engineers that they agreed with the numbers on the prices for the quantities of earth being moved. And that price is on tab 5, and we're looking at $303,668. Supporting documents for that are attached also in tab 5.
So this estimate is without any bids at this point? We still-
Well, it's a change order to the contractor that's on the job.
So the current bid holder?
Right. The current bid holder will be doing this work through his subcontractors.
Okay.
The engineers have looked at it, they've analyzed the quantities. This will be a not to exceed change order. We will also be measuring and weighing in all tons of sand brought in and dirt brought in, so we'll know exact quantities, so it may come in less. But this is a not to exceed number at this point.
So this is basically an estimate, but we'll have real cost is what we're gonna.
Right, and it should be a little bit less. We also have in the contract, so you're all aware, we have a $250,000 contingency allowance just for said latent conditions that are found after the job started. And so we would have that to offset what we're doing with this here.
I'm not an engineer, so I'm just asking for my own sake. So
Mhm.
the water table moving up and down, I know we've had significant rain this spring. And
Yeah.
all late to the spring, actually. Does that affect that level coming up from when it was originally tested at?
Very possibly they had. We could try to wait to go down, but we could be sitting here for 10 months waiting for it to go down. The French drain system, if it does come up, will catch it and pull it away so it'll never get back underneath the building again.
Causing
Yeah.
future problems?
That's right.
that could happen. You think that's from just the drainage of that area, catching water, not having a place to really move fast enough, like with the road systems that?
Very possibly that's contributed to it over the
Because
years.
it's still the elevation above that creek and the ditch is
Right.
still relatively high, so you would think.
And if you look in the pictures in tab 2, you'll see some pictures where we've got a big hole dug out there, and we put pumps in that hole and we pumped water day and night and couldn't keep up with the water. It just flowed. And at one point, right next to the southern wing of the existing middle school, we pulled up some existing sidewalks. We actually had water pumping up, just pulling up a sidewalk slab. And it was so clean and clear, we thought we had busted plumbing pipes. Couldn't find any water busted anywhere. We ended up testing it for chlorine to make sure it wasn't water pipes. And that's when we really started digging holes to find out what was going on out there.
The groundwater getting pushed up.
Yep. Questions?
And you can't work on that anyway, because the more you move on it, the worse it gets.
It starts pumping.
Yeah. I have seen that before.
But this would solve the problem of.
At the
being
building pad.
You know, and then that French drain would take care of any
Take care of
future
that
problems,
coming out.
right?
What we're also, and I'm getting proposals for the district on this right now, is to have an engineer study, do a hydraulic study of what water is coming across Jones Road from that neighborhood on the west, because you get a lot of water coming from that neighborhood. So I'm getting a proposal prepared for an engineer to do a hydraulic study, a survey, to see how much water is coming across that and how we can mitigate that down the north side of the middle school and get that water out of there. Because it's sitting there and soaking, it's getting under the existing building, we believe, and it's soaking in everything up there.
Is that the reason that perhaps we could have had water in the building in the past? Because of the water coming across?
It can't get past those sidewalks and stuff. On the north side of the building, you got a couple of entry sidewalks. There's not enough ditch there to carry that water down farther where it comes out of the stadium. If we can get it down to there, we can get it out. So we'll have to redo sidewalks, put in some drainage structures, all down that north side, most likely.
Do you think, as old as that building is, would moisture actually wick through that concrete if it's sitting under it for a long period of time?
If they put vapor barriers down and stuff, it's protected somewhat, but how long those last, it's hard to say.
That's what I'm saying, that's been there a good,
Yeah.
early 70s?
Well, the southern wing was built in the 1980s,
Or the
the
80s?
southernmost one.
I'm talking about where the gym is, up on that end.
Oh, that's been a long time.
Yeah, and that's where we've had moisture issues come through.
And that's where that water ponds in that corner between, that Dotson Road and Jones Road. I've stayed out there in the rain, sat in my truck and washed, and that whole area just fills up with water, because it can't get out.
We've even had in the principal's office in that building that if the water starts, if it's raining, if the water starts rising any, it starts saturating the ground and then coming through the wall.
Well, it's coming through the
Where-
weak holes at that
principal's
point.
office, which is a real issue, and we didn't know, we said, well, maybe it's just drainage on the surface, but it could not be, it could be coming in from underneath.
There's some possibilities. That needs to be studied, and that's why we're getting this engineer
Yeah.
involved, to give y'all some information on it.
May take a French drain over on that side if you got
It
that issue.
might have to.
Right.
I was just looking at the drawing, the French drain that actually goes to the ditch at Jones Road, would that help probably pull some moisture out from just the parking area and the?
Well, we have a complete storm drainage system in that parking area, so that's all getting piped out. But the water level where we needed to catch that storm drain was lower than all the other storm drainage and the retention pond on the property, so we did a separate line out to Jackson for it.
I got you. Okay.
All right. So you said the contingency plan was $250,000?
We have $250,000 as a
Built into it.
contingency allowance for anything that might come up during the job.
And that was a part of the bid?
Yes.
That was already incorporated into
Yes.
the price? And it's $303,000, that is the top that it could be, but it could be less?
Yes.
And so with the 250, let's say it does go to 303, that's 50+ thousand that we will be on line for?
Yes.
Do we want to treat this separate though, because we hadn't really started any of the construction?
Well, you've already got site guy out, he's got all the storm drainage in on site already. So you got somebody that's out there already doing that
No,
stuff.
I'm not saying on the bid, I'm just saying like on approval for the budget. I mean, if it's already, most of it in the budget, do you look at it like?
You need
we
to approve a change order for the amount, and we use the contingency to offset it at the end of the project.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Instead of approving a $53,000, we want to do the
Yes.
303.
Yep. Approve the change order as proposed, and then we use the contingency at the end of the project. Same thing we did on the upper elementary school.
And maybe get that money back
Yeah.
and still only be 53 over budget, which
Right.
is best case.
Actually, on the upper elementary, we actually got more than the contingency back when we got done with that job. I don't know how this one will go,
Well,
but that one
that's
turned out real
that'd be
well.
best case though, if we, you know, get that money back as a plan, so.
Right.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Zander,
Yes.
can you explain a little bit how we missed this portion if we've already had drainage issues at that middle school's campus, and we've had water issues and drainage issues, and I mean, I know this is very rudimentary, but when we talk about a swimming pool in your backyard, you know, they do the water table and they put like if you have a high water table, they put a suck pump back there that takes the water out.
We did soil
Hey,
borings.
Can I finish?
Yes, sir.
If you allow me to finish. So, again, I know it's rudimentary, and it's not to the level that you do, but if you put a swimming pool in your backyard, you have a high water table, then they'll put a sump pump back there because they say, hey, look, your water table is X amount, and you need to pull the water from the ground and push it somewhere else. So with the middle school property, how was it that we missed that portion that we have to do, an addition possibly of $300,000?
We did soil borings in May of 2024 that showed no water at that elevation. And that's in the documentation as well. So the water cable came up in the 12 months between May of 24 and May of 25.
Is that typical? Is that something unusual?
It's rare, but it does happen. It actually happened out at the John Deere when they were doing their addition out there. They had a water mitigation issue out there as well, so it does happen.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So what I would ask for tonight is y'all to vote to approve the change order at $303,688.57, and we can get the contractor back on the job and get this project rolling again.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the changeover for the amount of $303,668.57?
I make a motion.
Got a motion, can I get a
I'll
second? Second, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank y'all. We'll get this to the contractor and we'll get everything started. They should be back on site next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, superintendent's report?
On the academic sides, results will be coming in soon from the state, as soon as everything is released and it's approved by the State Department of Education. And when that happens, then we'll be able to release all of the data that surrounds the academic side, and we'll help to prepare some of that for the newspaper as well, so that you could have everything that you need, okay, when you get ready to start looking at all of that data. And so we'll get you access to Kimmy Zell, who would be able to help you greatly, you know, with interpreting the information. You know, what we're doing now is we are working very hard to build the capacity of our teachers. We are working hard with the teachers. The principals are doing this within their respective schools, and in order to build the capacity of every teacher so that they could do their best work this year. In regard to facilities, you heard the facility issue that we just discussed in regard to the middle school, and you know, so that is, you know, I think that is going to help us greatly. If you walked in the schools and you look at the cleaning and how the custodial services is done this summer, they've done a very good job. And we've replaced some tile at upper elementary in about half of the school because the tile was simply worn out. They had scrubbed on it so much that it was worn out. And so we had to replace about half of it. The other half is gonna be coming up this next summer. It's gonna take place. And the cafeteria is in very good shape across the board. They're doing well, and the kids are off to a great start. So we're up and running and gone, and things are looking good.
Move on. Mississippi HAT agreement.
Had a, employee bring this agreement to us and for us to sign it, and so it's, let me pull it out here. It's a Mississippi Employer Assisted Housing Teacher Program loan agreement. So basically, what it is this program will offer home loans of up to $6,000 for a licensed teacher in a critical shortage area. And says that we're in the critical shortage area, so it'll give them loan forgiveness for over 3 years. So I'm requesting your approval because it's gotta be recorded in the minutes, but the obligation to the district is just, it's limited to just certifying that they are an employee of the district, they're a licensed teacher, and that they are servicing for that 3 years. So we would be obligated to tell MDE they quit working in that 3-year period, or if they move from the house, that they use the $6,000 towards. So, if y'all would approve of that.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Is this a new program?
No, when I went to the Mississippi Law, it looks like this was something that was around, like, towards COVID, that,
Oh, okay.
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, so.
How much does it go up to, do you know?
Do what
How
now?
much does it go up to, do you know?
It's just 6,000 is the.
That's
is
the-
top.
that's the
Yes,
top.
6,000, so they, again, the district would have to notify MDE, and then we wouldn't be obligated to any payment. Basically, they would handle that with the employee if they were.
Was it just the teachers?
Yes. It is
Employees
just-
of-
it's teaching.
Okay.
So, yeah, something new. Well, it's not
Thank you.
new, but it's new to us.
All right, next we got declaration of junk and surplus.
Yeah, so I'm requesting board approval to approve the disposal of the junk surplus items that are listed.
Need a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody? Unanimous? All right, deletion of fixed assets.
Yes, asking y'all to approve these fixed assets to be deleted on this list.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous?
Aye.
All right, approval of financial statements and activity funds.
So, these are for June. It's not much changed since May, and I just wanna note that these are preliminary. I'm trying to close out the year end. So all of these are gonna change as we move from cash basis to modified accrual. But I'm asking y'all to approve the financial statements and activity fund transactions.
So moved.
Can I get a motion to file and receive?
I make a motion to file and receive.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, no public comments. All right, can I get a motion that we pay the bills? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, executive session,
I have nothing.
nothing, okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.